Yo, right about now go by the name Barima Sidney, aka the Hiplife Ninja, sir, when you did that. And this is my true voice. Well, music started for me way back. I think I was like 12 years. I remember we used to live at Dakuman. It was a very big compound house called Ebenezer House. And we had about almost like 30 kids, man. And I remember I had my football team, I had my concert party team, and also the music side, so that's where it all started, I used to gather gallons and, those things, then we'll be beating and miming some dancehall songs and also some old school tracks. But then finally, or let's say professionally, I joined a native fan clubs called NFL, which was led by Eddie Blay Jr. I mean, that was my first group in 1994. So that's where it all started. So I was there with them. I would say I was doing raga or dancehall, back then. That's what I used to do. So let's say officially 1994 was when I joined the native fan clubs, NFL. Well, I remember my first studio recording, first studio session. It was still in 1994. I remember I joined the native fan clubs to studio at Asalam Down, Case Frequency. They were recording some of their tracks. Back in the days, it was more like demo stuff. So I remember when the first day, I had the taste of or the feel of wearing the headset, standing behind the microphone was another thing altogether, man. And it was an NFL song, and there was Panafest 94. So I had to do a little dancehall chant in it. So that was my first studio session, and it really went well. I was a bit nervous though, but then it was okay at the end of the day. Yes, I do write my own songs. Yes, right from day one, I've been writing my own songs. And normally, how do I get? I keep saying I get my inspiration from the society. I'm not the type who say I slept and I had a dream and I started writing songs. No, normally what goes on in the society, that's where I normally pick them up, polish them, package them, and give it back to society. So probably I could be walking, and let me give you a typical example of how some of these things come about. I remember we went to the conference center. It was a show, and Kwame Sefakai, Miki Osebeko, and a guy called Tibe, they were emceeing. And when they came back on the stage, they were like, Sentinel, there's another shout, Sentinel, they were teasing. Apparently something went on behind this, the stage where some of the ladies were changing at us, so they were just saying it. So I was just saying that watching the show. Then when the show was, I was like, Charlie, Sentinel, you can do something with it. Yeah, and that was how Sentinel came about. So I keep saying, I always have the third ear. When we're talking, there's always the third ear that listens to what you don't even realize. So when some of these things comes up, I just sit down quietly. And I start normally with my choruses. When I get a chorus, then it will take me like 2 or 3 days, probably a week to, finish writing down the lyrics. So normally that's how I start. Creativity, inspiration from the society, from people I meet day in and day out. Well, what made me choose music? Growing up, I wouldn't say I wanted to be a musician. No, that wasn't my dream. Though we have this music background, like the family. My mom used to dance. My great-grandfather was Osei Kwame, the first Ghanaian to have his song on gramophone at Power back in the days, and cousin to Reggie Rockstone as well. So, and when I was growing up, I did science, physics, chemistry, math at school. So music there, it wasn't really till 95. When I was elected as entertainment prefect at West Africa Secondary School. Then, entertainment, blah, 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 blah. Then, when I joined the NFL and stuff like that, then, music started dawning on me. So I wanted to be a pilot, man, Charlie, pursue me plane. But then, the Lord knows best. Then I ended up entering into the music, and it was fun. And I loved it because I wasn't really hustling to write my lyrics, and the creativity was already there. So that's how I diverted from my pilot to a musician. Well, looking at our music scene or the music industry right now, of course, it's going through a lot of changes. Once upon a time, one of the pioneers of this music told me, our music scene normally changes every 10 years. He traced it from the days of the Kakekus to the Jacko Nimos to the Ampedus to the Boga High Life, Chasamoa and George Dako stuff to the Hiplife time, So every 10 years, the music scene changes. And it's been like that. Look at how we started way back. We used to do more rap, less, singing. Now it got to a point in time there was more singing, less rap. Now it got a time where they're doing more singing. It's been changing. And to me, I think it's for the best. So far, so good. I mean, it's been changing, and I think nothing is static. Yeah, I mean, so it's all good. Yes, talking about Africa Money, of course, yes, the biggest song in Africa. Yeah, I mean, how it started. I remember just after the Obia Nyobia, I decided to take a 3 years break. The reason being that I realized that anytime, Ghanaian musicians want to go international, I mean, in quotes, if you say we want to go outside Ghana, the only place we're looking at was Nigeria, because looking at Africa, Nigeria is an Anglophone country, so we thought, cutting across to Nigeria, will take us far. But then I realized, look at Ghana very well. We're surrounded by the Francophone countries. I mean, go to the Western region, we have the Ivory Coast there. Go to the Northern region, there's the Burkina Faso. Here, there's Togo. So I decided to, if we want to cut across Africa, I decided to penetrate through the Francophone market. And as at that time, the kind of trending song or the style of their music was called Coupé de Calais. It's a particular kind of beat, So I decided to, there was this song also out, Alhaji. So that's where I got the inspiration from. I mean, the beat was very funky and it was a typical Coupé de Calais. So I jumped on the Alhaji kind of beat. Then I asked myself, if you want to go into Francophone or go into Africa, what is the message? So I looked around and I realized the common message, that was going around everywhere. I mean, everywhere you go, there's corruption. Yeah, I mean, so I decided to pick on corruption and use the Coupé de Calais beat, and that was it. So we did it and we launched it in Togo. Right then after that, just then, I mean, it was all over Africa. It was one of the songs that people pirated, massively in Africa. And I keep saying, there's the positive side of pirating and also the negative side. I'll say that the pirating or the piracy made the African money big in Africa, because I didn't have money to go to Equatorial Guinea to go, do promo or go to Nigeria and all that. But because of the pirating, it was all over. And I was getting shows. People will call you from Burkina Faso, call you from Chad to come and perform. I was like, wow, you guys, the song. They say, Chad, it's a very big hit here. I said, okay, fine. So I give credit to the Lord Almighty for the inspiration, and it was an experiment and it worked. And also to the pirating, I'm not saying you guys should keep pirating, but there's always a positive side too as well. I mean, people used to pay that their song should be pirated. I mean, when you go to the front, they pay and casa. So when I was there, they pirated it and they did free promo for me. So Charlie, it was good, man. Well, why I do socio-political songs, you remember I told you, earlier on that, African Money was one of the first experiments. That was the first time I even touched on politics, talking about corruption. You see, I see myself as somebody who is very relaxed or very creative when it comes to reality, looking at things happening in our society and bringing it back to society, and socio-political issues. I mean, they're part of them. I'm not very good at love songs like, writing or like that. And I'm not too good at that. But then when there's a situation and he asks Sidney to capture that situation and, put it, definitely, I mean, that's my strength. So I realized people were doing more love song. I wanted to be unique. I wanted to do something they were doing. So one of my rappers said, "Manka why nebeka." Muma menka. Yeah, man. So those are topics that people even don't want to talk about. Looking at Sentinel. I mean, talking about personal and environmental, hygiene. These are places where or topics that nobody want to dare there, because definitely when you say Sentinel, people will attack you. Looking at Obia Nyobia. I mean, how can you tell me such a Obia Nyobia? They'll say Obi. There were 2 counters when I released Obia Nyobia. Somebody saying Obi. Looking at Buskeleke, Usika Besanebo. I mean, these are topics that are very, controversial. And that's where Sidney, I love to, delve into. That's why I feel very relaxed and comfortable to play around. So I love realistic songs. I mean, things that are happening in our society. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm into more socio-political stuff. Yeah, I'm looking at a Mutashi movement. You see, like I said earlier, I started this whole socio-political thing. It wasn't too serious. I mean, it was just fun. Just one topic talking about corruption, and that was it. But later on, I realized that, music is very powerful, and we can address so many issues through the medium of music. So I formed this non-partisan youth activist movement called Mutashi. Mutashi means let's arise. I realized most of the youth were not really into this political stuff. When you talk about politics, their civic rights and all, they were like, I made them pep politics be out, So we realized that, especially the young girls and the young guys. So we decided to form this Mutashi movement. The idea was to bring all of them on board, conscientize them about the fact that, if they do not take an interest in politics, it doesn't mean politics won't take an interest in them. I mean, we're not talking about partisan, but we're talking about politics, where everybody does politics in your homes, schools, and everywhere. I mean, so that's where the whole idea came about, to conscientize the youth, to let them get more involved, when it comes to decision making, because the youth, we have the power. And I keep saying, the old people do not own this land. They are just caretakers of it for us, the youth. So Mutashi movement was for the youth to get on board and be part of the politicking, stuffs in Ghana. Well, talking about my single, it has nothing to do with, it wasn't political. You see, the song came about after the COVID-19. You see, everything was standstill. So if you listen to the song, I was talking about, whatever it is, still a chroma young. I mean, it being called, it being bad, by force, quarantine, all those stuff. So the song, I was talking about the aftermath of COVID. Everything was scattered. I mean, things were not normal. People were go to time where it was like everybody became a ninja. Yeah, I mean, we all, so Boomerang was about the aftermath of COVID and how it affected us and how our lifestyle, became, and how, things that was happening after COVID. It had nothing to do with any political stuff. Yeah. Well, assessing the current government on a scale of 100, you see, normally when you go to schools, when you're done with everything, that's where they assess you and pass you. I think it's still got 2 more years to go, so probably let's wait to that. But like on a serious note, I'll say 50. Yeah, I'll say 50. I mean, that's what I'll say, 50. Make cash in Colombia. If you want me to go into, okay, yeah. The reason why I'm saying 50 is, he came out with certain stuffs, the manifesto, the certain stuffs, and they've tackled them. Yeah, I mean, but then going to the latter part, it's becoming a bit, priorities are not being set right. I keep saying, priorities are one of the main things. And I think with this government, though they've done part, I think they are shifting their priority to another sector and all that. It's good to do infrastructure, stuffs, but then without tackling, some of the social interventions and all that, Charlie, it's another thing. So from a scale from 10 to 100, I would say 50. That's it. Okay, if I have the opportunity to advise the president, there'll be 2 things I'll talk about. 1, setting their priorities right, like I said. Infrastructure development is okay, but then they should also look at some social interventions as well. So that's 1, priorities. Then 2, you see, it is not really about the presidents and the government that keeps coming and going. To me, I believe, all of them, they wish Ghana well, and they would love, after they've left office, they would love to say, Charlie, during my time, when you guys open tap, it flows with milk and honey and all that. They really wanted to, or they would love to develop Ghana. But then the point is, if I have the chance to advise, I'll tell him to, what is this national development agenda thing? What is it about? Where is it? You see, I'll tell him to champion the national development agenda, where Ghana will have a blueprint. Let's say from now to like 20 years, this is what we're doing. and it will be enshrined in our constitution, and it will be there like a Bible, like different manifestos put together as a blueprint, and let it be there, so that any government that comes, you just follow what is there. Let's say in the blueprint, we're supposed to do 10 schools, every region, one. If this one is able to do one, you to do this. Agriculture, health. There should be priorities, and there should be time limit. So if you come as a president, just follow the national development agenda. The reason why we're not going forward is, this one comes with its own manifesto, education system. Let's do this one. Let's change it. Let's do it. The another one will come. They say no, this one is not bad. Let's do. Then we keep, marching back and forth. If there is a national development agenda, trust you me, if you like it or not, just follow. This is the agenda of Ghana. This is our blueprint. That's what will help Ghana. Apart from that, the challenge will keep going back and forth. This one will come and do this. This one will come and do this. So that will be my advice or my plea to the president, that they should look at this national development agenda stuff and work on it. Yeah, whether I have any plans of doing, politics, or like active politics or taking positions. First of all, I'll say never say never. That's what I'll say. But then, like I sit here, I don't have any plans to stand for MP, take position. No, as I sit here now, as we speak, I really don't. Because I'm the type, I like the laid back, I'm the laid back person. Just always be at the back and do steps. Being an MP, like always at the front, no. I'm tired. I've done enough of that with the music. So I love to be at the back and do stuff. So active politics, taking positions, as we sit here, no, I don't have any plans yet, no. Yes, working on a new project, definitely I am. For the past, right after the Africa Money, I was working on a particular song, and I've been working on this song called Power. After corruption, the next big thing to me was power, how people misuse power. Like I said, power itself is not bad, though, by the way you go use them. So I've been working on this song for all these years, and in fact, it's done. My target is to release it in 2023, Christ willing, next year. So that's my new project I'm working on, shooting video, because it's not really about Ghana. It's a song that would love it to cut across Africa, the way people are misusing power, abusing power and all that. So that's my next project I'm working on, and hopefully next year it should be out. Well, His Excellency George Mane Wia, who says a big brother. I met him in 2004 in Ghana through a friend called Madfish. He introduced me to him, and since then, we became friends. As at that time, Abuskeleke was very big in Liberia, so that was when he was going to try his first political thing. So he took me to Liberia. We launched his political campaign, and since then, we've been very, very close. I'm the one who's been doing all his political songs. His party is called CDC. And I'm a member of that party by default, because George is my, godfather. So I've been doing their political songs for him. And we tried the first time, he didn't win. The second time, he didn't. Then the last, God willing, he became the president of Liberia. So I've been going back and forth to Liberia and coming in, and once in a while, we did a song together when Ebola pandemic was on. Myself and him, we collaborated and we did a song for the United Nations, Ebola. So we are very good friends, and now that he's a president, he's a father and godfather, and still we're close. Yeah. Well, I think, and I believe that Ghana should have an identity when it comes to music. You see, high life, no matter what, is Ghana. It's still us. And it is the foundation of our music. Most of the things we did, Hiplife, the foundation, the FAPIM is still high life. And one of the saddest things that has happened over the years, or it keeps up, is we neglecting our high life, or we putting away the Hiplife thing. You see, Hiplife, it was a revolution, when this whole thing started and blah, 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 blah. And the whole world, when you go to everywhere, when they're doing hip hop, they call it hip hop. Ghana, we were the first to rename hip hop by calling it Hiplife. Yeah, I mean, so people were interested to know what is Hiplife. But I think the problem was, when we were just saying the Hiplife, but then we didn't really define what really Hiplife is. I mean, when it comes to the content, I mean, the blending of the beat, we didn't really, we're not ready. We're just hyping the name. But then when you come down, there was nothing to pinpoint and say this is what we call Hiplife. It is a combination of this, it has this samples, it has this. We didn't work on that. So at the point in time, because the foundation wasn't so good, everybody started jumping out and we started everybody doing his own thing. But I think it's not late. We should go back. There's nothing like originality. We should go back, stick to our high life, stick to our hip life thing. I mean, let's repackage it well, let's define it well, and let's all rally behind it. Dancehall or raga, it's been like consistent, like that. When you go to the Francophones, they have their Coupé de Calais. It's been like that. So I think we should also have an identity, and I think we should go back. We should have an identity. Hip life and high life should never die. Never. Well, talking about digitalization and all that, music sales, online and all that, I think is the best thing that's happened to this generation. During our generation, it was the cassette and the CD, and it was really, really long. I mean, but now you can just release your song, put it on some digital stores, be in your house and be monitoring and promote them and, making some small money. The money comes to you directly. I think it's one of the biggest things, and I think all musicians should jump on it. I mean, to me, I think it's very positive. I wouldn't say I came too early or late. I mean, so far as I'm still alive there, Charlie, nothing is late. Yeah, I mean, but then what I'll say is, of course, back in the days when we were doing songs on CDs and cassettes, we knew that a day was coming on, a day was going to come where, we were going to move to that level. We knew it. Just that it wasn't there yet, but then we knew it wasn't going to be like the CDs, because it started with gramophone, with LPs, then it moved to cassettes, it moved to CD. So definitely we knew something new was going to happen, but then we couldn't pinpoint. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, comparing during those days to now, we made money as well. Yes, and I wouldn't say we ain't selling. No, those days now you're even making direct money, because you take your songs to a distributor, they give you front money, then they ask you to bring your inlays, they print the cassette. When they need more, you provide them with the inlays, they do. We're receiving our monies, we're giving front monies, we're buying packages, the packages and all that. So as at that time, it was okay for us. I mean, as at that time, it was okay. But then looking at now, like I said, I'm still alive and not dead yet. I'm still enjoying some of the royalties from my old songs. Songs like Africa Money is still making it big. Songs like Sentinel. There are other songs people even don't know, but they're on some of the streaming or the digital stores and people are patronizing it. So it's not late. I've been there and I'm still here. I mean, making all the two. Yeah. Well, talking about royalties, man, this is a very big thing. It's a whole topic altogether for another day. But then all I can say is the administrators are not really bringing in new innovations to, it's a collective society. I mean, people work with your music and, they pay. And you understand me, when collecting money from people from the radio stations and all that, it hasn't been easy. They are not paying the royalties, so out of what would they share what? Yeah, I mean, so they are not paying, people to also not putting the structures, for them to pay. So I think both sides. Yeah, I mean, so until they put some structures down where people can log in before they play and all that, I think it's still the royalties thing is moving to another level. It's becoming digital now. So if you hear and you concentrate on the gum rules and the copyright here, forget it. I mean, jump on some of these collective societies outside where everything is digitalized. When somebody log in your song online, automatically, they pay. So it's moving from the local way to the digital platform, and I think it's all good. Here, the royalties here, Charlie, we shouldn't even waste our time, because Charlie, I don't see it working today and tomorrow. No. So let's all take advantage and jump onto, the other royalty collectors, outside or elsewhere, where we can really monitor our sales and all that. Okay, talking about my always covering my hair and all that, yes, it started way back. You see, way back in 94 or 96 when we came out with our first album with my first group called Nanano. You know, I needed an identity. You know, I needed to be identified. We were three. It was myself, Omahi, Pozo, and there was a lady. So Pozo was always like Sakura, and he would do this bandana tag like Tupac. So I decided to also look for something to, you know, you need to be identified with something. So I decided to wear, I started with beret, some black berets. Then, you know, I used to wear black berets and all that. So that's how I started with. Then, you know, people started identifying me with your chest have black beret, you know, so it was like that. So when I went solo in 2001 with my first solo album called Tina and Pampanam, I decided that, okay, let me keep this brand because they've accepted me as that. So I started wearing the beret. Then I changed to this scarf, and it's always been part of me. It's a brand, you understand? And you don't just throw away brands like that. So it's been like that. And of course, I must confess to, of course, I'm growing, and of course, there's the baldness is coming all right. So then the ladies go fit tell you. You know, so that one too, of course, is inside, of course. Okay. But then the fact that I started before, you know, the hairstyle, so it's been part of me, and I feel very comfortable in my beret. It's become part of me. So. Well, finally, what I would like to say is this one goes out to the youth out there. I mean, I think, I keep saying this thing that I have respect for politicians, I have respect for everybody. But then I'll say, I have more respect for individuals who've, you know, excelled in entrepreneurship. Yeah, I mean, look at Ghana here. They have people who've come up with their own ideas, started from the scratch, and you know they are building their own thing and they're employing people. So I advise the youth to go more into entrepreneurship than, you know, just jumping into some political party, following, you know, then they start giving you some posts, but then all of a sudden, you know, Charlie, you become something else and acquiring property. You know, I always have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs than politicians. I mean, I have respect for them as well, though. But to tell you the truth, I mean, politics, what? People enter into politics and they start amassing wealth and blah, blah, blah. The next, when they're not in power, go back and see their lifestyle. So people shouldn't think, say, it's rosy out there. I mean, people are making it, it's just, politics is where you go in there, grab some money, and so the youth don't even want to think again. All they want to do is, Charlie, Mimpe party being in the China, power near the you know. No, that mentality, let's just put that one aside and let's start build something on our own. You know, let's start from the scratch. Yeah, I mean, so the youth out there, if you want to go into politics and do it as your main way, no problem. But then don't go in there because you want to just go grab some money. Go into entrepreneurship, do something on your own. You know, you'll be more respected than Charlie jumping into some politics. Or power, I was on watch. Yeah, stand and all that. So more entrepreneurship than just jumping into politics and following them for money. Big up, man. True voices.